Hello and welcome back to the Gaming 5. Much like my Halo 5 review, there's something I want to tell you about that doesn't factor into the review. Modern Call of Duty games use a skill-balanced system, and if there's one thing I hate about modern shooters, it's that. It means that unless you're playing in a full party in clan versus clan in which teamwork overwhelms anything the system can do, the system will balance you. If you play well, it will stack the odds against you and put you on the clearly losing team and spawn you and/or enemies inopportunely. If you play like garbage, it will put you on the slaughtering team and spawn you and/or enemies relatively distantly. I hate this because doing well should be purely a factor of skill like the good old days. It's Call of Duty. At this point, it's a household name. All you really need to know is that this year's entry is primarily developed by Treyarch, while last year's was primarily developed by Sledgehammer, and that I will make comparisons between the two. Oh, and it's the first Call of Duty with a hot chick in it. It's Call of Duty. Shooting, explosions, and this guy. How does it all handle? It's Call of Duty. It's the closest thing to a Twitch shooter consoles have, and will probably remain that way for a very long time. And since this formula has been polished to quite literally a mirror surface, it handles very well as expected. But you only care about multiplayer, right? And this is where some good news occurs. It's a far better experience than Sledgehammer's outing. Mobility has been drawn back a large amount from Advanced Warfare, so while you can boost jump and run along walls, the dramatic decrease in mobility means battles are a lot less random. This matters. The biggest problem with Advanced Warfare was the constant spawn dying and getting shot in the back. Mind you, it still happens here, but not nearly as much, and that's simply because mobility is so dramatically decreased compared to Advanced Warfare that the spawn system is able to make smarter decisions. As mentioned before this review began, this does not always work in your favor, but it does make the multiplayer experience a generally more pleasant one. Furthermore, killstreaks seem to have also received what I might call a nerf. They're not nearly as deadly as they could be. This is actually favorable, as I found myself able to react and survive most killstreaks by paying attention. A nice touch that further removes that whole random thing we all hate so much about Call of Duty. In essence, I'm glad to report that multiplayer is an improvement, even if it's still not quite perfect. It's Call of Duty. Nope, wait, actually, I'm wrong. You see, once you finish the campaign, another campaign opens up. This isn't New Game Plus. This is an entirely narratively different campaign, and without spoiling it too much, it's totally co-op campaign friendly. Speaking of which, I found online co-op fairly fun, though most people were new to it and total dumbasses. Speaking of dumbasses, there's also the sparkly new Zombies mode that you'll want to play with your friends, not randoms. Speaking of randoms, there's also my favorite mode in multiplayer, Ground War, for its increased number of combatants compared to all other modes, and it includes the new mode called Safeguard in its rotation. Ground War's a little hidden and really should be in the core playlist section, honestly. So to sum it up, I'm wrong. This is the most content-rich Call of Duty to date, and you actually do get your bang for your buck. It's got several problems in this area. First off, the frame rate dips regularly in campaign, which is probably a sign of why they didn't port it to last generation systems, as they'd probably have to scale it down dramatically. This frame rate dip also occurs in multiplayer on occasion during Ground War, but this generally happens only when there really is way too much happening on screen at once due to the number of players. Otherwise, in every other multiplayer mode, the frame rate does stay mostly solid. But then there's the campaign story, and it's delivered quite poorly. It's easily a step back from Sledgehammer's first outing, a possible indication that this game had a lower budget. And while I'm comparing the two, the audio also seems to have taken another step back. Guns make an unhealthy clack, and when your hit indicator sound is more full than your actual gunfire, it's obvious that gun sounds need some work. None of the audio options even help it come close to meeting Advanced Warfare's impressive audio work. Oh, and side note, turn the brightness all the way up and thank me later. Simply put, Black Ops 3 is a step forward from Sledgehammer's outing, but only mathematically. It's not a proper step forward, but instead more like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I can't deny that multiplayer has seen some favorable tweaks, even if it's still rage-inducing, and the content puts its price tag to serious work. It's just too bad that it's severely held back by several flaws in the presentation department. I give Call of Duty Black Ops 3 an 8 out of 10. That's it for today. Subscribe for more gaming content delivered directly to your retinas. I'll see you next time on the Gaming 5.